So we're going to get into the value side of things now. What do you think makes these trends? Why do people do these things? You like it, but even if you like it, are you just going to throw money after it? Probably not. You want it to have some value to you and add value to your home to some extent. So the value equation factors in both what it does to your home, but also kind of what it does to your lifestyle at home. So from a value perspective, one of the things that we track annually, and it happens annually, we follow it, and there are various publications and trade organizations that do this, is national surveys of cost return values on various remodeling projects. Remodeling Magazine is one organization that does that. There's a couple others as well, but that's the one that we track. And they do that nationally. They take about 25 or 30 different, 40 different, more the common remodeling projects you would do at your home. Kitchen remodels, basement remodels, garage door replacements, room additions, decks, things like that. And they survey the industry across the country and say, okay, people spent this many thousands of dollars on it to get it done, and they got back this many thousands of dollars in value to their home. Their logic and their formulas behind that, they'll describe that, but they've got a science to it that they've approached this through every year. And they also do it nationally, and then they break it down by region within the country, and also drill down to some metropolitan areas specifically, including Des Moines. So you can kind of compare yourself across the country. So I'm going to look, and when I went to put this presentation together, actually I was describing this to a client we were working with. The 2017 report just came out, like within the last 2 or 3 weeks. So the 2016 results are now out and published, and that's what I've circled here, and I know you can't read it, and I forgot to bring my handout paper with me that has the details on it, so I made cheat on my iPad. They always list the national figures and also the regional. I'm going to focus on the national, and here's why. Number one, Des Moines and Iowa, don't sell yourself short. We are doing quite well here. There's some good things happening here. So from that perspective. Number two, from my perspective and what I do, Archadeck is a franchise national business. And so I'm seeing things not only with what we do here locally, but also what my counterparts around the country are doing. And I'm always comparing myself to them and doing okay in that regard as well. So I tend to focus on the national numbers. I'll just say as a whole, the regional numbers for us here tend to be a little bit down. Number one, our homes out, which is lower cost of homes and things here anyway. Number two, particularly when it comes to outdoors. We have winter, and Texas usually doesn't, for example. But there's also places north of us that do better as well. So 70 degrees in February always helps, though, doesn't it? So anyway, values. Hold on one second while I cheat and get my iPad. Long story short, decks have always been one of the top cost return projects. In some years past, it's been number one. It's dropped a little bit over the last few years. And also point out too, for this year's survey was the first time that I've seen patios included in Remodeling Magazine survey. I'm sure in other probably more landscape-oriented publications that they've tracked them there, but they've now put patios into the survey as well. So there's some feedback on cost return values on those. Apologize. Okay, so for 2016, first of all, I'm going to ask, what do you think would be the best remodeling project you could do from a cost return perspective? Anybody have any? Kitchens? Okay. Okay. It's good start. Okay, so kitchens, and they also break these out mid-range, high-end project, etc. But kitchens last year, I'll find it, major remodel of a kitchen, a 65.3% cost return value. A wood deck addition. These are always going to say additions for decks, but I always say you may have a deck, but if it's not functional and it's not a deck you use, you might as well not have it. So remodeling it to make it functional and be a deck that you use is sort of an addition. So a wood deck addition, 71.5%. So that generally surprises folks that decks would be higher than kitchens. They also break down decks between wood decks and the low maintenance composite decks. And the return on those is less because part of their factor in what gives you the value is living space. So the same 300 square foot deck is the same amount of living space, whether it's a wood deck at $10,000 or a composite deck at $15,000. I'm just throwing out numbers, but composite decks dropped down to 65.2%, which is right at what a kitchen remodel was. Patios, I mentioned that patios are in here. It's that top circle that I've done there. Patios, backyard patios, 54.9% return. And again, that's national and average. Other things that might be applicable, throughout the kitchen remodel, a basement remodel. People redoing their basements, making that a family room, is a pretty. That's a 64.8% return last year nationally. Say that again. Yep. And again, this I don't totally understand the 60. So the basement remodel, 64.8% nationally, but 56.4% in our region here in the upper Midwest. That I don't think has anything to do with winter. So it's just the lower values of homes and just the cost of things here. So really, decks and patios, porches are hard to figure out where they would fall in this. They don't really cover like a screen porch or that. They do have room additions and 4-season rooms on here. But check remodel if you want to see this in detail. Remodeling Magazine, Google that, find the cost value studies, and you'll see that there. And I mentioned stone earlier, and it was, as I said, it's not a coincidence that we do a lot of stone. One of the things they've tracked for the last 3 years is veneer stone, using veneer stone on the front of your home or in various places. That has an 89.4% cost return, and that's actually down from the last couple of years. So if you're doing a deck with just standard 6x6 wood posts versus a deck put stone on it, you're actually increasing the value of that deck. Yes, you're spending more money, but you're in ratio getting more out of it in the end. So that is part of I think too why we're doing more stone. The other thing I did since yesterday, I've got that on here too. So I went back and looked at the history on the last 5 years on decks and patios and where they have been versus, and I just chose basement remodels and kitchen remodels because those tend to be the things you think of most, and threw in there as well. The average rank of a wood deck addition in the last 5 years has been 4th out of all the 25, 30, 40 things that they track in this survey. As I said, the composite low maintenance decks drop a little bit just because you're spending more money for the same space. But there's a subjective value to that, I think. I don't know that they're factoring in the cost of the maintenance of a wood deck that you're also applying to that going forward. But I know the composite decks tend to have not necessarily a resale value, but if you're going to buy a new home and everything being identical, even the same deck, if one's low maintenance and one's the other, you're probably likely to buy the low maintenance deck over the wood deck, and maybe even spend a few more dollars for it. So there's a little bit of subjectiveness on that as well. So basement remodels over the last 4 years have averaged, and again, if you average it out, these basement kitchens are usually about 10th on the list. So what do you think, if maybe I've cheated here, maybe you can see it, what do you think, so now what do you think the number one value is on cost remodeling? The answer is it's things that save you money, which would be like energy efficiency things. So attic insulation, adding insulation in your attic has actually been over 100% return. So you're actually making money on that aspect. It was number one this year and last year, and 3 years prior, your front entry door, replacing that has been the number one thing to do to your home. So that's sort of a curb appeal thing, I think. People come to your front, first thing they see is your door. So there is value in that as well. Obviously a whole different scale of project than deck, patio, or a porch. So, and the veneer stone has averaged actually in, I think 1 year it was number one, but it's averaged, they've only tracked that the last 3 years, but it's averaging the number two cost return feature that you can add to your home. So there is value. The point of this is there is value to outdoor living. These trends are trends for a reason. They're making your home more functional, allowing you to enjoy your home more, and makes you happier while you're there. That has some value to your life as well. The low maintenance product make that easier to achieve, less maintenance to get that done, and kind of backtracking here a little bit on the low maintenance aspect. Even patios, concrete or stamped concrete or pavers, typically those can be referred to as low maintenance too. You don't have to sand them, seal them. You can seal them, but those are pretty low maintenance products as well. So the point is, outdoor living is a big trend. They have whole shows about it now, TV shows on HGTV, and a lot of people out there doing this, including us. If you want to know more information about us, we are over in booth 312 over there across the aisle.